Hi, I'm Gary White for Channel 6 Central Kentucky Television. I'm here with Lisa Haydon. You get to see on Channel 6 every week with Community Focus on Washington County. But we want to talk about a situation that occurred last week here in Springfield and Washington County where you were involved. It was actually an armed robbery that occurred at the Dollar General store in Springfield, the first Dollar General store that existed, I believe, right? Didn't it start here in Springfield?
Right, it sure did.
And you were actually present during the armed robbery. So that must have been a very traumatic experience.
It really was. You know, we had a city council meeting that morning, Gary, at 8 o'clock, and you know, I serve on the city council. And so it's very disturbing for me to think that this happened in Springfield. And I always I'm very proud of the fact that Springfield is such a peaceful town, and I'm always, you know, telling people, you know, come to Springfield, come live in Springfield.
How safe.
And yeah, how safe we are and how good things are here for people, you know. And then you have something like this happen, so it was very disturbing. It was very scary.
Now, what time did this occur?
It was, well, we had our city council meeting that morning at 8 o'clock. And so I was stopped in the Dollar General store to get a few things.
Right after the meeting?
Right after the meeting, yeah. It was around 9 o'clock. At 9 o'clock a.m. in the morning, whoever would think someone would want to rob a dollar store, you know, and particularly at 9 o'clock in the morning, or any other time for that matter. So,
so you were in there in line, right?
I was in the checkout line, yes. And all of a sudden, I looked up, and this man just walked through the door and held a gun up straight at the cashier, and I wasn't any distance from him because I was right there at the counter.
Just a few feet.
Just a few feet, and held this gun just straight out and said, "Give me your money." And
Could you see the gun as well?
Yes, I could see the gun. And I tell you, I was in such shock, though, Gary, that I really couldn't give you any details other than he had a gun. And for some reason, I think it was a silver gun. And I couldn't tell you how big it was or anything. It wasn't really long. It wasn't you know, it was just right in his hand.
It was still a weapon.
It was, yeah. And
did he have a mask on?
He had on a mask, and I think he had on sunglasses, and a hoodie or something over his head. I mean, you really couldn't see, you know, any way to identify him.
And as of the recording of this interview, the perpetrator has not been caught.
As far as I know, right? He has not been, right?
So the person came in with the brandishing gun,
right?
Put it, and then
and the cashier, he just, you know, kind of stood there a moment too. We were both in shock, and then of course he said it again, and was very demanding the second time, and I don't know. I said, I think he might have cursed. I couldn't tell you because I think, you know, it was just, it happened so fast. He just walked right inside the door, those sliding doors. And I was just thankful that no one else was around. And he said, you know, and so the cashier got him the money, and we just, you know, I just prayed that nothing happened to anyone or that no one got hurt, and that he just got the money and left, and which he did. And thank goodness for that, because, you know, no one came in from behind and startled him. You know, if a parent had come through the doors with some children running in, that could really, you know, have startled him and could have been a whole different situation. I just stood there very still, and I didn't, someone said, well, Lisa, I can't believe you didn't talk him out of it. And I did think about it. I thought, now, why do you want to do this? What is so serious that you feel compelled to have to rob a store and to get money? I just thought, is it drug related? That's the first thing that you think about. It's probably drug related. So then you think the individual that's the robber is probably not, if they're at the point where they need to rob a store at gunpoint, then they're obviously a very unstable person. So needless to say, I wasn't going to ask any questions or try to talk them out of it.
So then they got the money and turned around and ran out? Did they drive off, run off?
I think they drove off. I certainly didn't. I didn't see them because I, didn't leave the store at that point. But I had backed up because another lady that was in the store came around the corner, and because I've just backed up a couple of took a couple of steps backward because I don't know. At that point, I thought, why am I standing here?
Right.
And then you think, well, I guess they could very well just shoot you for no reason, and then you really get. Then when the more I think about that, the more scared I become because you just think, if someone's so unstable to do that, they could have really hurt me or the cashier.
Right.
And the poor, cashier that was a, terrible situation for them. And I'm sure, traumatized from it.
Yes, absolutely, very traumatic.
And I think I was in such shock, Gary, that I didn't know, you just don't know how to react, and you don't know what to do, and you're not even thinking so hardly. But I did decide to take a couple steps back, which I was glad I did, because someone was coming around the corner, and I stopped them from, coming out, getting too close.
Right.
And to warn them that the store was being robbed, and I feel I'm glad that there were no children in the store. There were some other people in the store, but a couple of others that stayed in the back, and I'm just so thankful. And the manager was in the back, I think, maybe. Unpacking, items that came in, and I'm just so thankful that no one was hurt and that there were no children in the store,
right.
or that no one, got rattled and that nothing happened.
Right. So then you had to stay and talk with the police to give your report.
Yes, the police were 911, was called, and Chief Jim Smith, was right on the scene and came and was able to, get statements from me and some other people, and the cashier, of course, and so I don't know where it stands at this point. Mm-hmm. And they did, get away with some money, and I'm not exactly sure how much.
Right.
Yes,
but the investigation's ongoing for all that stuff.
Right.
Too.
Right.
But we just wanted to get you on there and say how happy we are that you didn't have anything more traumatic happen than that.
Exactly.
It's already enough trauma.
Right. Yes, I'm just so glad that nobody was hurt, and I just want I guess this has to be this drug situation, Gary. I guess I don't know, but that's certainly a problem in all communities. And it's something that I know that our cities and counties and states are trying to work on, and so getting doing away with this drug epidemic. So not that was what it was. I don't have a clue, of course, but gosh.
What's the motivation?
Yeah.
But we're
So-
just glad that you're okay.
Well, thank you, Gary. I'm glad too.
Again, I'm talking with Lisa Haydon. This has been Gary White for Channel 6 and Kentucky Television.